It's time for a little Funky Friday. From their funky hidden headquarters, your hosts, Keith and Gerry.
As usual, Keith is late. Nah, imagine that. No, I don't know why.
It's scary.
He was at the AT&T store, so yeah, you had to go to the AT&T store when you were going to be on the show. That guy, I swear to God, late to his own funeral. Welcome to another episode of Pop Culture Minefield, TGIF. Thank God it's Friday, and our special Halloween retrospective episode, where we're going to be talking about, well, my favorite ghost story of all time on film, which is called Lady in White. And right now, until Keith gets here, my panel is made up, of course, of this Swedish kid named Chase. Norwegian, sorry.
Yeah, Norwegian, yeah.
Yeah, Norwegian doesn't have the meatballs. That's right. And then our special guest of the day is our new friend, Autumn.
Hello.
You can find her on Twitter as WerewolfSJW. And she is live now, coming from
Canada.
What appears to be her attic bedroom.
It is. It used to be my bedroom, but now it's just a space for other things.
It's your cosplay room. You got your costumes.
No, those are all just my sweaters.
All your
I
different
have a lot of
schmees that you wear.
Yeah.
That's what that's called, right? The scarf is a schmee.
Oh no, I just call it a scarf. The chemise is like a whole different, lot of other things going on. This is just my scarf.
Well, I just want to welcome you. I'm glad you're
Thank
here.
you.
It was really nice meeting
I'm
you.
happy.
You and I had a really nice chat the first time we talked, and
Yeah.
both of us are huge fans of this film.
Yes.
Which is, even though it didn't make its box office, I hate using the word flop, but technically that's what it was. It has finally garnered a cult following, and it is now considered a cult classic, and I love that. You'll know it's officially though when Turner buys it. When Turner buys it to add to their library, I will be happy. That's what I keep doing the same thing. Turner. I'm probably gonna start a campaign, and I'll need you to sign it so we can get this. Get Turner Classics to buy this thing for their cult classics library. But I brought Autumn on here because she is as big a fan, if not bigger fan, of this film than I am, which surprised me because I'll bring this film up and nobody knows what the fuck I'm talking about.
I'm always ready to talk about it.
Yeah. And before we do, I'm going to go ahead and show a quick clip from the film. And it's got the kid Lucas Haas from the Harrison Ford film Witness.
Yes.
He went on. He's got a really good career.
You should watch Brick if you haven't.
I just heard a pop. There he is. Get on camera, Keith. Don't you give me that image. Yeah, there you go, motherfucker.
Hey, Keith.
We want to see that beautiful black face, man.
Howdy.
And there you are in Cincinnati.
Home of the chili.
Keith, of course, this is Autumn. Autumn, Keith.
Hello, Autumn.
Hi.
Autumn is our special guest today, and she's going to be talking about the movie. And before we go into it, though, I'm going to show a quick clip. And I got to get back there, add the stream. There it is. And
What's that?
Sorry, I'm muted.
Yeah.
That scene, I get emotional watching that.
I know.
It's like such a great scene. But that's, the integral moment of the film, really. It's the turn. And it's so well done. And this done in the 1980s, man.
Yeah. I assume they use maybe like a projector of some kind to make the ghost effects, which is probably why it holds up so well. No?
No, I don't think so. I believe that was shot separately and placed in, and he had timed it. I'm going to bet money that he had timed it. That's why there's a slightly off when you watch it. It's slightly off when the camera starts to track right.
Yeah.
She's moving slightly differently than at a slightly different speed.
So good.
And but that was really good. I mean, somebody measured that out and planned that out.
Really
And,
well. Really
pretty
well.
pleased with it.
It looks so real at the same time.
I want to recognize some of the people in our chat real quick before we go into this. Our friend Six is here. Hello, Jedi Six. Das Wolfen, who's a close friend of Keith's and mine. And of course, Zax is our producer, first AD. And then Sox Bulletin is here. What's up? All these people without real names. It's awesome. And some of them have real names and we know them. Deleted Scenes is here. He's actually normally a member of the panel, but he didn't get a chance to watch the film, so he could not be on the show. But I appreciate him supporting the show by being in the chat. CJ Swordpunk is here. What is up, my friend? And of course, our good friend, old Redneck Nerd, is here. And my good friend, Parrothead, is here, who sends me the most obscene fucking memes in private chat. I swear to God. I read, sometimes he'll sit stuff and I'm like going, I'm glad my kid wasn't here for that. She's an adult and it still didn't want her to see that image. But again, everybody, thanks for being in the chat. Everybody watching at home, thank you for being here. And our panel, as usual, thank you for being here. Jace from Norway.
Yeah, thank you.
Autumn,
Norway.
who is our new friend on the show. Once again, you can find her at Werewolf SJW on Twitter. Give her a follow. And of course, my partner in crime, Keith.
Who's always late.
We know you're he'll be late to his own funeral. I joke.
Okay.
But he's got stuff going on, man. He's got a brother that's been, how is he doing right now?
He's all right. Although today it was technological for me. I was
is that why you're
checking
at AT&T?
Yeah. I was checking on an issue with my phone, and
no good.
Wow.
Well, God bless you.
I have to help my
Technology and
parents with
I.
that a lot.
I would not be doing this show if it weren't for you. I would probably stop if you left me and broke up with me and says, I'm done with you, Gerry. I need you in my life.
You know what? No, because you're way too much fun, and on top of that, you're one of the coolest individuals. So,
thank you. I love you, man.
Love you too.
Get back on camera, bitch. What the fuck, man? Putting that emoji face up there. What the hell are you doing? Probably jerking off, the weirdo.
I'm just taking cigarettes. So.
All right, let's. You can't go an hour without a cigarette. Jesus,
no,
I swear to God,
can't.
I just want to punch you in the face sometimes.
Come on, then. I would love
to. You would, you weirdo. So, Autumn, instead of me talking about the film, take over.
All right. So I will go on tangents. I have ADHD, but to continue, Lady in White, the perfect ghost story in essence, in my opinion, starts off with a young boy, Frankie, from an Italian-American family, which I think actually adds a lot to the story because it's set in the 60s. Italians are still kind of like not waspish enough for the WASP crowd, and they're in, they're in, I believe, upstate New York. Or somewhere where it's like, Protestants are everywhere, I assume. So so he's already on the outs. He's, a little weird guy. He loves Halloween, and he gets locked in the coat room after school from a cruel prank. Very rude. And he finds out while he's in this coat room, there's the ghost of a little girl who was urging him to solve her murder. B, he almost gets murdered himself by the real killer. And there's also like a whole storyline about that where they're trying to find the real killer, and then they get the janitor who's not the real killer, and that's a whole thing.
Yep.
dealing with racism.
I always thought that was really interesting, honestly. I felt that was a really like obviously it's a movie made in the 80s, set in the 60s, so it's not like they're that far removed from the 60s itself. But it was very like, I was like, Frank, you watched To Kill a Mockingbird before this? Like, what?
Yeah, I know. It's
Oh.
automatic for those of us that love To Kill a Mockingbird. We spot the thematic
immediately,
similarities. It's like, oh my God.
Because even Frankie's parents, or his father rather, is very much like a lot of people in this town are being overtly, obviously racist.
Yeah.
And Frankie's dad is like, I'm not being racist
And he's
because I'm the good guy.
Yeah, and his dad is kind of reminiscent of Atticus Finch.
Exactly, yeah. Just like a little more like earthy and Italian. Not
Hey.
Hey. You know, we have some comic relief grandparents straight from the old country. Love them. What else is going on? You know, there's the lady in white, the titular role. She's around. It's a great mystery. It's a great ghost story, and it's a great coming of age tale.
It really is.
And an amazing cast. He got
so good.
Oh, yes.
Just a stellar cast. He had Lynn Carlu. Is that it? I always mispronounce.
I'm pretty sure
he's on Blue Bloods. He's the grandfather on Blue Bloods. Yeah, you can't see it.
I know.
And you got that kid Jason Presson that was in Explorers, which was my other favorite kid film from that period. And Lucas Haas is amazing. Alex Rocco, because everybody knows Alex Rocco from The Godfather, and gets shot in the eye.
That's so funny. Lucas Haas was the first one I recognized, but maybe it was my age.
And of course, we all know Jared Rush because he was the kid. He played jerks. That was his career, playing young jerks.
Do you think that messed with him psychologically?
You can, because I'm friends with Zach, the redheaded kid from Christmas Story.
Oh.
And he said, yeah, it really bugged him because, at first, but then he learned to embrace it. And he would do the character for people when they would react to him. And I think he's psychologically healthy.
Yeah, that's good.
But who are you just flipping off? Chase, I just saw you flip the bird.
Yeah.
Was that me again?
Yeah, that's you, man.
No, fuck you too. But Lucy Lee Flippin is like really good as the school teacher, the school mom.
Yeah, she's another great character actor.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And the film has this physical connection. I don't think Frank intended it, but there is one. And you brought it up in our private chat of being very similar to something Wicked This Way. Comes through the narrative aspect, the small town feel.
Coming of age.
The coming of age thing.
Fears
Kids in
coming to
peril.
life.
Because that's my favorite subgenre of horror and sci-fi is kids in peril. Because as a kid, I latched onto it and it stuck into my psyche all the way to now. I still love watching them.
I guess same, because here I am.
Yeah, because like when you're a kid and you see a kid in peril, you connect with it. Like the first movie that did that to me was in the 60s. My brother Steven took me to our town drive-in and we went to see The Cat of Nine Tails.
Oh, I don't think
with Carl Malden and James Franciscus. And my God, when the granddaughter gets kidnapped by the killer, I was losing my mind in the backseat of my brother's car. Like, oh my God, they're gonna kill her! That's me.
And he was like, "Can't believe Mom made me take you."
My brother was we were very close. I was very close with all my siblings as a kid. And I like that about the film too, because there's this great brotherly dynamic. You want to talk about that?
Yeah.
The sibling dynamic.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's really
Frankie screams at him in the beginning, and you can hear that like real, like childlike, like just high pitched scream. Are you crazy? It's so cute.
The whole bicycle scene at the beginning is so good.
And the cement and everything. Oh.
It leaves him. His brother leaves him. He's all covered in mud. He's like such a dick.
And then he apologizes, and then Frankie's like, "I won't tell Dad." I think they really set up like the family dynamics, the kind of obviously where they are, like location wise and otherwise, in the first 10 minutes or so of the movie super well. You know exactly what you're getting into.
Well, it's got that Americana feel.
Yeah, exactly.
You see the square. What, Keith?
Well, I was going to say family dynamics really will help in really any type of film,
Yeah.
whether it be a horror film or a comedy or an adventure film. As long as that works, then you can pretty much put that within any particular genre.
I feel like
A
especially
good
in
example
horror.
of yes, especially in horror. I mean, you have to get that right. Not just family dynamics, but really the relationships in
likability.
general. Yes.
Yeah.
You've got to have that. Whether you're talking, a film like, say, even like, say, Monster Squad.
Yeah.
You got to buy these kids as being kids. You got to buy them as kids, even in something like The Goonies or It is a really good recent example.
Oh yeah,
you have to buy
I
that.
really liked how they did that.
Yeah,
well, I read it. I read the
down.
book back in the '80s, and I prefer the made-for-TV version and the modern version over the book.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
Stephen King is fucked up in the head because he wrote
doing cracking cocaine
the whole sex scene with the kids. I'm like,
off his rock.
what the fuck
that
are you
is-
writing about, dude?
Oh my god.
What did you smoke?
They
You
had
did
to
that
get out of the sewer. They had to
Listen.
fuck each other. I'm like, are you out of your fucking mind?
Maybe I should not have brought that up.
I have a kid in one of my classes who's really into horror, and he's reading Stephen King's It right now. And I was like, "You are 12. Do your parents know about that
That
scene
kid
in
should
there?"
not be reading that book.
I know. I was like, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to deal with that. But if this child says anything to me about this book and that scene eventually in class, I'm going to be like, okay, so we're definitely talking to your parents.
Exactly. I'm going to show one more clip here from the film, and we'll be right back from after the clip to talk some more.
Ooh, this one.
That. You got anything to say about that, Autumn?
Yeah, I was just thinking, honestly, while watching that scene, I feel like on paper, this movie doesn't feel like it should work as a story because there's so many different stories happening at once. You have this kind of deeply sorrowful gothic heroine of the sister aunt who's still alive in her like decrepit kind of Miss Havisham style house, living like a ghost because of her loss in her life. Then
At first I thought she was a ghost.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I wouldn't blame you for that at all. I was watching that as
Agnes
a kid being like,
is the name, right?
Yeah, and she's just obviously living a very sorrowful life. And then you obviously have like the racism subplot with the janitor and like the murder mystery part, and then like the little coming of age story with Frankie. I feel like in a worse movie, it wouldn't have come together as well as it did. And then every time these separate characters and their separate kind of stories like converged and crossed over into each other's lives, it really worked. And it really, like you said, likability is a big thing. So all of these relationships that we see grow, just very likable. Even like the sad sister is so likable as a person. You can, you see her humanity, and you can't help but feel bad for someone who lost their sister and their niece.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to point out that Catherine Hellman, I was a big fan of her since the 70s when she was on Soap.
Oh, Soap.
Oh my God, I love that show. She is such a good actress. She's like classic actress,
Yeah.
Norman Jr.
Well, I mean, she did a lot of movies, especially in the 80s and into the early 90s. She was in, she did the film Time Bandits. She made a cameo in that one.
Yep.
And another good one would be.
It also had a little fellow named Sean Connery. He had a bit part in it. He's like,
True.
I'd like to have a bit part in your movie.
But she also did let's see, she did another one kind of loosely connected to the Pythons. And that was the. Brazil.
Brazil.
Oh, Brazil.
Yeah.
Oh,
She
right.
plays the mother.
Yes.
She's the mom.
Crazy shit mother.
That's so funny. I just watched that like a month ago.
There you go.
Forgot.
Some other great actors in that film. They had Sidney Lassick, another classic actor, Tom Bauer, and Renita Vani. And I'm trying to think. There's one more big actor. Crud.
Bruce Kirby.
Bruce Kirby. That's right. Bruce Kirby.
Father of Bruno.
Yep, Bruno, and we lost him young. Oh, it was a sad day when we lost Bruno Kirby.
Yeah.
He had that rare disease, man. And it looks like we have another guest here. Hold on, let me see if I can add him to the stream. I'm having trouble here. Hold on a second. What is this? Oh, there we are. Okay. I just realized I wasn't showing anybody's names.
I didn't even notice.
So, yeah, here we go. Big moment. Big moment. I'm watching Autumn right now to see if she figures out who that is.
Hello.
What's going on? Oh. Autumn.
Hello.
Do you know who that is?
Autumn. I've been so wanting to meet you.
I haven't looked up
That's
anything.
Frank. Now I'm going to say the name in a funny way. It's LaLoja.
LaLoja. Okay.
Okay. You're gonna get yours. You're gonna get yours later. Autumn, my dear. This is Frank LaLoja.
It's Frank LaLoja.
Hello. Was it
What you didn't know, Autumn, is I'm friends with Frank.
Oh, I didn't. I'm very surprised.
I had to keep it away from you. I couldn't let you know. Even marketing this, I didn't let any word out that he was going to be on the show because it was your surprise. Because you're considered his #1 fan.
Wow.
I want to tell you something, dear.
Yes.
I came across your post on Twitter.
I
think maybe 2 months ago, a couple of months ago.
What?
And you were begging someone to have it on a podcast.
Manifesting it.
And you said, "Oh, please, 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 someone invite me on a podcast because I'm not technically proficient enough to do it on my own, damn it.
Yeah.
And I need to talk about Lady White."
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Yes.
Correct about that? And I need to
it was
talk
my
about
birthday
Lady White.
wish.
Please, with someone. So not only once did she post, but she posted again and again. I'd say maybe 3 or 4 times at least, right?
Over the years. Now.
No. This was over the past 3 months or so. Now, don't lie, Autumn. Don't lie. Besides, you have nothing to be embarrassed about. So I saw this, and then this schmuck, Gerry, gets in touch with me, and he says, Frank, he says, please, he said, I'd love to have you do my vlog. Now, I normally say no to this sort of thing because, I'm embarrassed to do this sort of thing. I'm not very literate. I can't verbalize very well. And, I tell you. But in any case, I said, okay, I'll do it on one condition.
Oh, my gosh.
And I said, I want you to locate this girl. I said, and I want you to ask her to be on the vlog.
Oh,
and don't tell her that I'm going to be there. And
I was wondering who his friend was. I was like, do we know each other?
And I said,
yeah, because I told you a friend of mine.
Oh my God.
And I said, if you can do that, I'm in. And he did. Wow. So bravo. Wow.
This is the best Halloween of my life.
All of you people. I'm delighted to meet all of you people, but I'm especially delighted to meet Autumn, I must say. And
I'm
Autumn,
so happy to meet you.
My leaves are falling for you.
Nice,
look at that. Hold on, let's see.
And they're red. Hold on. And they're orange. And they're yellow. And they're full of love. And and here we go. So I hope we've managed to make, all of us have managed to make a dream of yours come true.
Yeah.
You may regret it later.
No.
But
hey, Autumn, we're making a Frank LaLoja sandwich. That's Frank.
That's for another. That's for another vlog.
L as in LaLoja.
Now, just for a minute, I want to say something just for a minute about Gerry. There's something I need to clear up here because Gerry, and by the way, I'm disappointed. I heard that Steven Seagal generally appears on this vlog.
Fat-
And he's not
Fat
around.
Steven Seagal,
But he has the same problem with pronouncing his name. Now, let's run. His name is Steven Seagal. Seagal. Give me a break. In any case, this guy spells his name, Gerry, Gerry. So what's he say when I first meet him? Oh, by the way, it's pronounced Gerry. I'm going to give you a break.
Like Gerry Rafferty?
Well, let's have a little go at this. Okay.
Yeah.
Geriatric. How do you pronounce that, Gerry?
G-E-R.
Geriatric.
Okay,
All right, somebody
it's a
help him
trick
out.
question, and I'm not falling into that
I'm just
fucking trap.
spelling Say the word I've just spelled.
I got a learning disability. It's too much.
Geriatric. Come on, anybody. Geriatric, right?
Yeah. Oh gosh.
All right.
Which
Here's
I am
the next
now.
one.
I'm officially a
Here's
geriatric.
Here's the next one. You're beyond being geriatric. Here's the next one. Gerrymandering.
Gerrymandering.
Yeah.
Now here's
And how
the
do you
thing,
say
now.
your name, dear Gerry? How do you say your name?
It's here. Let me
I feel like
explain.
this is more of a parent issue.
I don't
you
want to
can
hear it.
understand how
I don't want
it's
to hear it.
I was named
don't wanna hear it.
by
I
my
don't want to
great
hear it.
aunt from Ireland, and she it's based on the name Gerard, and it was originally the name Gerry was pronounced Gerry. That was the original pronunciation, and then somewhere in the late 19th and early 20th century, they started giving it a soft G, and so over in Ireland, you've
I'd like
got a
to
mixture.
give you a hard G right now.
Yeah.
I'd like to give you a hard
But it's
G
Irish.
Okay.
But here's the thing. My dad is Gerry Sr. God rest his soul. I'm a junior. And my dad got pissed because I had 3 children and not one of them did I name
A junior?
Gerry. Except for my middle child, his second, because all of our family have 2 middle names. It's a tradition. My name is Gerry Richard Patrick. My son's names are Benjamin Brian James Cassell, Sean Patrick Gerry Cassell. And then my daughter is Zoe Kirsten Wara Cassell.
There isn't a normal name in the bunch.
But notice what I did with Sean. I named
What
him
happened to
Gerry.
Mike, Lou, Pete.
Lou.
How about those?
That ended in the 50s, brother. You know that. Common good names.
Okay. All right. Shall we get back to the subject? Let's get back to the subject at hand.
Yes.
And that is autumn. Is
Lady in White and Autumn. Yeah. And Autumn's love for the film. Actually, my shared love of the film, because it really is my absolute favorite ghost story film ever. I love ghost story films, and that's number 1 on my list.
I feel like a lot of the ghost story films that are coming out, at least recently, this is maybe just my own likes and dislikes, but I feel like a lot of them are really leaning more into the jump scare horror and I don't know, there's not an emotional weight to a lot of them. It's just here's a ghost.
That's to the piss poor writers that are hired.
Yeah.
And too many executive producers or executives, period, consider themselves creative, and they involve themselves in the story process, and it ruins films.
That's true.
And Frank, of
course, that's a very wise gerrymander geriatrics.
There you go. I feel like it's the same. I'm an artist and working towards pitching books and graphic novels, and it's the same.
And I love your artwork,
publishing.
by the way.
Thank you. And so
I'd
a
love
lot
to
of
see some
publishers.
of that as well.
Oh, it's really good, Frank. You'd like it.
Anytime, man. Let's go.
Send me a link right now to your portfolio. I'll share it during the show. Oh my God. Are you serious, Pat? You put that fucking image as your avatar?
Oh my God.
That is creepy as fuck, dude. Seriously. That's my friend, Pat. Pat's involved with a lot of productions. He was involved with last week's series that was done on a bunch of channels about Band of Brothers because it was the 20th anniversary.
I love
and
Band of
we
Brothers.
got selected to do episode 10. And I, of course, guess who I work for? The military company behind Band of Brothers. I work for Warriors Inc.
Not HBO.
So I work for Dale Dye and Julia Dye. And so I had Julia on, who was part of the process. And she had some great stories. But that's what I want to get to right now.
Well,
Frank.
guys, it's been really nice. I'll see you.
Get
some
back
other
here,
time,
Frank.
okay?
I want to ask you. Let's get some behind the scenes stories.
What am I doing here? I mean, for crying out loud, are we going to talk about the film or not? Besides, I can't leave. I'm not wearing any pants.
Definitely tell us behind the scenes thing.
Can't leave.
Yes,
Can't
let's
leave.
go with it, Frank, because I know that Autumn and I have been curious about it, like the alligator thing. What inspired that?
My favorite pair of shoes when I was a kid came as a result of that alligator. Yeah, I had a pair of alligator shoes, and I always felt guilty about having them. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to find an alligator and make him famous, put him in the film, and hopefully that will alleviate some of my guilt. But it didn't. No, the alligator, it's interesting about the alligator. Baby alligators were available for sale during that era. You could go to your local Woolworths or Newberry's. Newberry's was featured in the film. And you could buy a baby alligator and bring it home. And thusly the this
alligator in the sewer.
Yeah, the alligators in the sewers. That's where that all came from. But it's true.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, when I was a kid, we had one. I don't know what the hell happened to the poor guy. But we did have we kept him in the basement, in the sink in the basement. And I sincerely don't remember what happened to him. It's tragic and it's not a good thing. But I wonder often, especially with younger audiences, when they watch that scene, if they're thinking, "What the hell is that all about?" But it was a reality. It was something that
I feel like when I watched it, I didn't really think much about it. I was like, well, it's the 60s, I guess.
Yeah, but it's true. And so, and that leads me to wanting to, I guess, try to explain how I felt about creating this story.
Yeah.
And what it meant as relates to the period. And that period happened to be the same period. Frankie's was the same age as me, as myself, in 1962, the period in which Frankie grew up. And the scenario is very autobiographical, as many people already know. And I couldn't tell that story without telling the full story, because, it's funny. I never thought about the film until recently as a coming of age story. I simply thought of it as a story that I wanted to tell, and that I had enough personal experience to tell, and I felt I could tell well. The idea of it being a ghost story, the ghost story aspect of it, was actually just the skeleton, of the piece.
Absolutely.
The meat of the story has to do with the people and the characters. Characters always, in my opinion, are what's essential to driving any story successfully. And that's where I was really focused. And sometimes there's some criticism related to the film as to, the story involving, the racial subplot of the film, which isn't really a subplot. It's integral to everything that's going on.
Absolutely.
But that was part of what I experienced growing up. And I wanted to just make a point of that. It's an essential part of the movie, in my opinion. As a matter of fact, I remember when I made the deal for the distribution deal for release in the U.S., it was with a company called New Century Vista. And the head of the company I signed a deal that absolutely stated that they couldn't touch the picture. They couldn't change the frame of the picture. And so they couldn't without my permission. And I wasn't about to get permission. But at one point, the head of the company, Norman Levy, who ran 20th Century Fox a few years earlier, came to me and he said, Frank, he said, why don't we just test 2 versions of the picture? He said, would you do me a favor in this regard? He said, I know, you're not obligated to make any changes, but let's test 2 versions. One version in which the janitor is let free, and I thought about it. And the other version would be your version, exactly as you see the picture evolve and that plot eventually come to its tragic end. And we'll screen them side by side with a test audience, and then they did this in that era, and I think they still do it today. They would hand out these forms asking the audience for. They wouldn't tell them what the picture was. It was like this major preview, and then they would ask their opinion. They would ask them to rate the picture. So we screened the 2 pictures at a cinema in Cerritos, a multiplex, and 2 cinemas side by side within the same multiplex. I was there that night with a bunch of other executives from the company. Norman stayed at home, but he was waiting to hear what was happening. And I agreed to this. And I didn't have the remotest concern as to what was going to happen, because he said, whichever screen's best, we'll go with the audience. And I said, okay. I said, I'm game for that. Because I had screened the picture hundreds of times as I was bringing it to its conclusion editorially for varied audiences. I would take 35 millimeter prints of the work print. I was in Hollywood. We cut the picture in Hollywood, bring them to Samuel Goldwyn. But prior to the screening, I'd go to Hollywood High School with a poster that my assistant had made up, and I corral these kids from Hollywood High and anybody on the street to go across the street to the Goldwyn studios, not far away, and watch the pictures so I could judge their reaction as I zeroed in on the cut. And I did this repeatedly with an audience. So I knew what worked, what didn't work to the T with an audience. Anyway, we screened the picture, both versions. We got the forms back, and my version tested like 20. It was just out of the park. Tested 25% better, and so
from my perspective, watching the first time, it was so like when the tragedy happens to the janitor, and then when you find out that the real killer has been left basically undetected for so long, I feel like that's such a pivotal and such an important part of the film itself, because he was able to go undetected until Frankie was able, through like various means, was able to find out who actually did it.
And by the way, when that car scene,
that scared me so much as a kid.
It did too. I mean, Lucas Haas freaking nailed that scene. That look of terror was so genuine.
Yes.
Yeah. Lucas, all the kids in the film, all of the actors in the film, look, major key to making a picture work is casting. If you don't have the right cast, forget it. You're in trouble from the word go. So a lot of attention has to be paid to casting. Lucas was always the first choice for Frank, and luckily, and he was the first that we saw. Well, we went to him, and his parents read the script and loved it, and then they read it with him, and he loved it, and we made a deal with him. But so, as concerns all of the actors on the film, I really didn't have much there wasn't much I had to do with the actors. They were all, I think, right for the roles. They brought themselves to the roles, and that's important to a large degree. And so there wasn't much that needed to be done with the actors from the point of view of directing them, with the exception of Papa Charlie. Papa Charlie, dear Angelo Bertolini, his only experience had been on stage, and he'd been doing Neapolitan comedies, at this theater group in Los Angeles. I used to go with him on occasion after we shot the film to see some of these shows with him. He was a wonderful man, but he tended to be. He's big in the film, as big as I wanted him to be, but he tended to be even bigger than that. So I would have to pull him back say
Yeah.
Angelo, because I always refer.
I was
to the
gonna say
characters.
you can. I feel like that now that you've told me that he's mostly in theater, I can immediately clock that thinking of his
Absolutely.
performance. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's so cool.
And the funny thing is that Renata Vanni, who played Mama Sunta,
Mhm.
she had had plenty of experience with film, and both of
Yeah.
them, those are real accents, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
I told Lynn Stormaster, the casting director, we weren't going to hire any actors that would need to be fake an Italian accent. We had to find the real thing, which
Yeah.
really limited our choices. But
No
luckily,
Chris Pratt as Mario casting for you.
Yeah, nothing like that. But Renata was Neapolitan and Angela was Sicilian, and there's generally a war between those two groups anyway, culturally speaking, in Italy, the South, and well, Naples is South as well, but Sicilian, that's way South.
Yeah.
And so, and she would complain. She would say, "Oh, he's always too big, too big. You're always too big. Why don't you pull it back? Why don't you pull it back?" And I said, "Don't worry about it."
He's like, "I can't."
Yeah. But they were wonderful.
So cool.
We had a great time.
Yeah. That's awesome. A lot of her mannerisms, like my parents, like my mom's not an immigrant, but my dad is. So her mannerisms remind me a lot of like my aunties. And, like that kind of like immigrant mom behavior. And my dad smoking actually as a kid too, very similar to the grandpa.
Yeah, well, that's all from real life experience. And another thing that came to mind as I was thinking about appearing here today, as relates to my own personal experience and the racism of that era. I mean, it was
not
epic.
great, Bob.
Yeah, it was really epic. But we grew up in the inner city, actually, until my brother Gino and I. My brother Gino, by the way, was my younger brother, and so Frankie's kind of a combination of me when I was Frankie's age, and me when I was Gino's age, to a certain degree. No, Gino is actually me when I was Gino's age. So Frankie's me when I was Frankie's age, and Gino is me when I was.
So Frank was the jerk.
Yeah. I drove my little brother Gino crazy. We had, and my father's welding shop was right next door to where we lived in the city.
Oh, wow.
Now, for the purpose of the storytelling here, and he created wrought iron railings. His name was Angelo. The character was based on my father, and he created beautiful wrought iron railings, just as Angelo does in the film. But in any case, we lived next door to a factory, and next to that factory was a black family. There lived a black family, and I used to play with them all the time. They had younger kids my age, and we'd play and we'd have a great time. And then the inner city riots started to happen. And when they happened in that era, everything changed. And I remember as this was happening, we were out playing together as we usually did, and suddenly they started to throw rocks at me for no apparent reason. And I had to run and hide in an open garage next to the factory. They just completely turned on me. It was understandable considering, the tensions. But these were little kids. These were my friends, my buddies. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is that was very heartfelt and very deeply felt by me. And I lived that experience. And so to tell this story that took place in this era had to involve that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it would be worse to just gloss over it and pretend, like paint it with a brush like it wasn't happening or like it wasn't real. Like how I've seen some stuff on TikTok about teens being like, guys, there's racism in Hairspray. And I'm like, yeah, that's the plot.
Right, exactly. And I've seen some idiots actually accuse this film of being racist. They don't seem to know the difference, you know.
I feel like it's really difficult for like.
There, I'm watching
the media literacy.
and Keith's reaction.
Yes.
And Keith's my first black man. I told him that the other day, you know. And boy, am I glad, you know, that I found him. But you see, it's that's what I'm saying. It's just absurd. Now, what I just said, you know, would probably not be considered politically correct these days. But Keith, were you offended by what I just said, or did you find it to be?
No. I've actually, unfortunately, have run across a few individuals who were not so kind. So I do know the difference, and I like to think I have a good sense of humor. I was raised, you know, with a lot of different types of comedy growing up, especially Richard Pryor and Flip Wilson. And, you know, I mean, there's a lot of humor that I grew up with that wouldn't be something that a lot of people would really like nowadays. It would be considered kind of taboo. So I get it, you know.
Right.
And I was blessed to grow up in a black community. I was like the only white kid anywhere in the neighborhood.
Rocking with Mark.
Yeah, it's just like it was an amazing experience for me because it was all jarring at first because that was the first time I'd ever met a black person was when we moved into that neighborhood from Arizona. Because I grew up in Arizona, and then my dad kidnapped me and moved us all the way to Virginia to hide, and we lived in the black community. They had no money, and they fed us. Our neighbors fed us.
What the fuck?
Yeah. And
did that kidnap you?
And
so
Keith
Autumn,
knows.
I want to ask Autumn a question. I understand that you're a teacher.
Yeah, I mean, I teach after school arts classes at the Winnipeg Art Gallery where I live.
At the Winnipeg Art Gallery.
Yeah.
And so your students are they younger or?
Yeah,
or
I've been teaching 3 age groups so far: 7 to 9, 10 to 14, and 15 to 17.
Yeah, I didn't want to say where you live, but so
that's it.
Yeah, she's in Winnipeg.
I'm in Winnipeg.
For all you people, freaks that want to know where she's at.
How would you feel about if you were in the position to do so about screening the film for your younger students?
Yeah, return that favor.
I would honestly, I would have to ask like the studio coordinator, obviously, but if I could do it, especially maybe I think my graphic novel class would really like that.
Yeah.
I think that movie is really fit for kids. At least 7 or older, because I introduced my daughter to it when she was 7, and she's a huge fan.
I think my current 7 to 9 year olds are not ready for this movie. I can tell.
My daughter is. Jesus, man. She was sneak watching movies like The Grudge when she was a kid. When she didn't know I was watching. And I was watching the movie one night, and she snuck up behind me after the movie in the dark. At 1 o'clock in the morning, she woke up, had to pee or something. And I'm sitting there in the dark watching the credits, and I suddenly start hearing that sound behind me. And I have surround sound. I'm like, is that in the movie? Where is it? And then all of a sudden, I hear this little girl's voice go, why did she make that noise? And I went, oh, Jesus Christ, I hope they taught you CPR in school. You just gave me a heart attack, you little shit.
Well, you know, the Lady in White was originally rated R by Motion Picture Ratings Board, and we were afraid.
And it's so goofy because it is not an R-rated movie.
No,
and the distributor was afraid
that was
the distributor was afraid this might be a possibility, and sure enough, they came back with an R. So, but we had an opportunity to appeal that rating.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So they sent me to New York, where the ratings board set up another screening, and the head of the ratings board, oh God, I can't remember his name now. I want to say Gordon Hessler, but I'm not sure that that's correct. Anyway, he was there at the screening, and then all of the board members were there at the screening, and then it was up to me to appeal to them one-on-one, to get up at the front of the theater and tell them why I felt that the picture should be rated PG-13. Mm-hmm. And I did. And I had about I think a 3-page. I think I've saved it. I know I've saved it. I've got it somewhere. That my 3-page typewritten appeal explaining why I thought the picture needed to be PG-13 as opposed to R. And to kind of encapsulate what I said, because Frankie, I created this film for everybody. I said, but especially for kids. And I said, because Frankie is such a great kid. I said, everything that he has to show, comes from the heart. Everything he has to give comes from the heart. And he's driven, by.
He's a very enterprising young man.
Right.
Yeah,
to see things.
Said that. Yeah.
To see things right. And I said he's a great role model for kids. And that's I think why I think the film should be rated PG-13, because otherwise I think many parents would be remiss to allow their younger children to see the film and even accompanied by them.
I will tell you right now, if the movie had been made in the 60s, it would have been rated G.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back then, people said it's all right if kids see death.
Yeah.
I mean, all of the most long-lasting children's
after
movies.
I finished, say that again, Autumn.
All of the longest-lasting cultural touchstones, I think, for children's movies do involve some amount of death, like The Last Unicorn, Rats of Nim. I mean,
let's go back to early Disney, Bambi.
Oh yeah.
Don't even remind me.
But I think that what they were concerned about had to do with the, Phil's character. That was,
yes.
But also they said to me the intensity of the film was so great at the ending that it scared the hell out of them, and they were concerned. But in any case, I made my appeal, and then we all met out I went out to the lobby, and they voted then and there, privately, still seated in the theater. Yeah. And the head of the ratings board came out and said to me, well, kid, he said, you got it. He said, you're one of the best orators I've ever come across. And he said, we're going to change the rating to PG-13. And then the thing that was really remarkable is all these other ratings board people that were on the screening and in on the original rating came out and they hugged me. We're so happy. We're so happy that we've been able to do this. We really, really wanted to be convinced, and you convinced us, and we're so happy because we want as many people as possible to see this film. So
yeah,
it was a great experience. So initially it was unnerving because it would have been a tragedy, I think, had the R rating stuck to it.
I think a lot of adults, especially adults who are maybe in charge of such things as ratings, etc., really don't understand the breadth and width of things kids can watch and entertain. Especially not every kid has a golden childhood, and there are certain dark things that they may be experiencing, and seeing something like that on screen could really help them. I don't why would you hide that from a kid instead of understanding that some kids are there and some kids aren't?
People who do the rating should actually actively be parents.
Yeah, or even just talk to a kid.
Well, I'm sure many of them are parents or were parents. But the irony of it is
it's very Tipper Gore behavior.
The irony of it is the kids of that generation, and even kids from later generation, have embraced the film completely and totally, and they embraced it from that generation when it was released, when they were 7, 8, 9 years old, and they've never let it go. At least that's the impression I get when I read reactions. Right now, Halloween's like Christmas for me, right? Because I love it. I get up in the morning, I go to Twitter, I type in "lady in white," boom,
and you've got 85 memes.
And I go to Facebook, boom, same thing. There's stuff all over the place. So it's like Christmas for me. I get such a kick out of it. I really have a lot of fun. And it's wonderful to see that so many people have held it dear all these years, and continue to hold it dear. And they'll defend the film, fiercely defend it, which is well, like Autumn. I
have yelled at many people to watch this movie. Absolutely.
I have too. In fact, my entire crew of panel and friends, I have going, if you've not seen this film, every year for Halloween, I put out my top 10 list of movies to watch for Halloween, and this film has been on every one. I've tagged you every time I do it too.
Yes,
because we're friends, Autumn.
Definitely top 3.
And really, that's the other reason why when Gerry asked me, if I do this, I thought, okay, he loves the film dearly. I know that. He's expressed that opinion over the years. So let's give it a
still
go.
plan to do a proper retrospective on it, and I want to record it.
Yeah, well, lose my number, will you?
I want to get you, and I want to get
you hear me.
Some of the cast and crew. Yeah, I'm ignoring you. I heard you.
He heard me.
Get Lucas Haas on the phone.
I have selective hearing, my friend.
Lose my number too, because
but this really is on a list of films I want to bring cast and crew together. Anybody that's surviving. So there's actually a record of a good interview with everybody. Because you have no idea how much I love this movie.
We did a couple of years ago, maybe it was a little less than that, when COVID just got going and Zoom was becoming popular.
Yeah.
You told me about this where you did that.
Yeah. When Skype really dropped the bag.
We had a cast and crew Zoom session. It was marvelous. I couldn't invite everybody to it. Yeah, it's recorded. And I couldn't invite everybody. And I tried to get Lucas to come. I was in touch with his dad, with Bertolt Haas, who's a wonderful guy, and he said, "Call him right now. He's at home, and he's waiting for you."
Wow, dad moves.
Yeah, and I missed him, But Jason did participate. Jason Preston, who played Gino, he participated. Yeah. My dear friend Steve Mann, who cut the picture, was there, and Rosie Weaver, who played Mrs. Williams, was there. And I tried to get in touch with some of the other cast members. Who else was there? I'm trying to think now. A lot of the crew were there, and it was a wonderful, wonderful time. We had a really good time.
Now that you're here, I can ask you a question about the ghosts. Because I had always thought it was a projector.
Oh, was I right? Yeah, was I right?
Gary said that he's thinking you pre-filmed it and put it in post. So he's probably right, but I would like to know.
No, that was a very basic black screen composite with the lockdown, second lockdown.
Separately and put in. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's
very good on the timing, though. You were really close when you start to track right.
That was so. What that means is that we shot with a lockdown camera, the cloakroom, which is the backdrop to all the scenes with Melissa. And it had to be absolutely locked down, couldn't move at all, because later we shot Melissa against black. And our stunt coordinator, Ron Hutchinson, was covered in black himself, and he lifted her up, and moved her.
I love the way you did that, dude.
But since he was covered in black and the rest of the set behind her was covered in black, that allowed us to take that image and composite it in the optical printer with the lockdown, the shots that we'd made of the cloakroom from various angles, depending on the shot. And then within the optical printer, we were able to control the effects, visual effects people were able to control the degree of transparency in the color and that sort of thing. Cool. But it was, the film was made for $4.7 million, which was a significant budget for an independent film.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
Still very, very low budget by studios. And that one thing that has disappointed me over the years, as it has others, is the quality of the effects. Some of them are wonderful, but others are not. Some of the matting effects are terrible. And that happens simply because we didn't have enough money.
I feel like it all has a charm to it. I don't care about that.
Well, and thank you for that. Thank you for that. But there are others, that
like when she goes off the cliff. Is that
yes.
I like that part.
Well, that's good. That means that story and characterization, that's working overtime, and as it should be, and that's what's important more than anything else. But the budget for the effects budget, visual effects budget, was $200,000 all in. and we had 200 shots, 200 visual effects shots. So when you think about it, that was $1,000 a shot. That means 200 shots means every one of those shots had to be individually composited and dealt with in the optical printer. They were individual cuts, individual shots, and so it just wasn't enough money and to really do them properly and do them right.
Well, you did a fantastic job, Frank. Really, it is. Well, despite the financial setbacks, the truly creative find a way, and you did. You found a way. And, you know, and to this day, when I've had conversations about the box office on this film, I said, do not count this film as a failure. The marketing is what failed. The people in charge of marketing, they did not properly market this film. I saw the trailer and I went to see the movie, but not enough people got to see the trailer on TV.
Yeah.
And I think it would have been a whole different story.
Now, but here's what happened with that. And this was a major heartbreak. The deal I made with the theatrical distributor was that they needed to spend a minimum, you have to think back to this era, of $1 million to open the picture in 2 markets, at least, initially. And the markets we were hoping for were New York and LA. And they agreed to that. They said they would open New York and LA conjointly. But what happened was these guys, and they were wonderful guys, I must say. I really liked these guys. They were at the end of their rope. The company was starting to come to an end. They just hadn't had much luck with their distribution slate. But so at the last minute, they went out and they screened the film for critics, all the major critics, planning on opening the film in New York and Chicago and LA at the same time. New York, Chicago, and LA. And then they pulled out of New York because they didn't have enough money to make enough prints to get them all out to the theaters in all 3 markets. And when they pulled out of New York, and we had all the advanced reviews, we had the New York Times review, we had the Newsweek review, and they were all raves. And the problem was that none of those critics would run the review until the picture opened in New York. So
what the hell?
We managed to get Roger Ebert's review because we opened Chicago, and that was a good review. And we were able to quote that. And there were a couple of other minor critics. But the big guys, and also Lucas couldn't make an appearance on the Today Show, and none of us could, but they wanted Lucas until it opened in New York. So they opened the picture in LA and Chicago, you know, and we ran review quotes from some minor critics. Ebert was really the only major critic that we could quote because it was opening in Chicago, and it lasted for a week, 2 weeks at best, you know.
You know, just so you know, Frank, I did talk to Roger about his review of the film because I told him I'm a big fan of the film.
Yeah.
Roger and I knew each other because I took the old job he had at Octopus Magazine in at Champaign-Urbana as one of their film critics. And so we'd meet for lunch, and I brought it up at lunch one day, and he actually said he was very fond of the film.
Yeah. Well, you know, he gave it 3 stars, and I think he underrated it.
He did underrate it, but he told me he actually liked the film. He's very fond of it.
Yes, I know. It was a good review, but the texted review was much better than his 3-star rating.
Than his 3 stars. That's right.
And then when the picture came out on DVD, its first DVD release, Vinnie Boncalari, who ran Elite Entertainment, they released the picture, the first go at it on DVD, got it to him, and he featured it on his Pick of the Week segment. So I think he kind of tried to make up for his error in that regard. He basically said, at that point, what's the picture with Bruce Willis and the other?
A Sixth Sense?
You know,
Oh, Sixth Sense, yeah.
Yeah, Sixth Sense. I come out, he basically said, so if you like Sixth Sense, here's a movie, you know, it's a wonderful movie. That's a great movie. That has the same kind of feeling, you know.
That works, yeah.
Happened prior. Yeah. He tried to make amends, but I think he should have rated.
Too little, too late.
You had your chance. I do want to thank Nerdtorial Lifeform for $5 super chat. He says, I need to see Lady in White now. Good to see everyone and great stream. Thank you, Mr. LaLogia, for coming by to talk about this.
Well, thank you, Nerd. I can call you Nerd, right? Thank you, Nerd.
Part of his name.
Thanks, dweeb.
It was lovely to hear from you. And yes, go take a look at the film.
You know, it's not definitely on iTunes, sucks.
Pardon me, Otto?
What's that?
It's not on because I've always checking to see if it's on Apple.
Actually, I have tried to find it on other streaming platforms.
Oh, too. Here's some news. I just noticed this past week that HBO Max has picked it up for streaming beginning November 1st.
Oh boy.
Well, the sad part here in Norway will not come here before probably next year. HBO Max in Norway really sucks. You barely have anything.
Well, I understand in Norway you only have one movie theater.
It's very cold inside.
No, but
Gerry.
No, but it is really annoying.
Gerry.
The Norwegian slander of it all.
Yeah, no, it's really annoying.
HBO Max starting November 1st, streaming.
No, that's cool, man.
Excellent.
I need to get a VPN.
That's what I do. That's how I watch Bake Off.
You disappeared again on us. Norway, where are you? All we're seeing is your...
He's smoking, and so he doesn't want to smoke on camera.
But I'm smoking on camera.
Yeah, go ahead, Days. Jesus Christ, you fucking addict.
Okay.
That's like my uncle when he didn't want my mom to see him smoking, put it behind his back. So cute.
No, but in Norway, we barely have anything when it comes to like streaming services. They all suck. It's like we finally got HBO Max, and I think we just have like 19 superhero movies on HBO Max, and they've
Not Swedish, Mac the Norwegian.
Oh, that was
such a dick to you, Jason.
No, so I was gonna look. You know, they don't even have any Marvel. They don't even have The Crow, and that really annoys me because that's one of my favorite movies. They don't even have The Crow on Norwegian HBO Max, and they only have
Marvel I
old
can forgive, but not The Crow.
And you know, they have like the Dark Knight trilogy, but they only have the first and the second one. And of all Superman movies, they only have Superman 3. They don't have Welcome to Norway. Our streaming services sucks.
Well, Keith, you haven't said much. I'd like to hear what Keith has to say.
Yeah, I was wanting to know,
That's
what
enough,
is your...
That's enough. Okay.
Enough.
What was your...
Go ahead.
What is a memory that stands out to you about the filming of the movie that was something kind of fun that you remember from the actual production?
Oh God, there were so many moments. Well, I'll tell you something that was the most endearing for me. At the beginning of the film, during the opening credits, you may have noticed a fella who is chasing the paper boy. Remember how we're kind of following the paper boy as he's delivering his papers and things like that. And then we cut to a shot in that sequence, the opening title sequence, in front of the theater, which actually exists, of course, in that little town. We shot in a town called Lyons, New York, in upstate New York, for our location. And it's the Oman Theater. And you see this fellow with a baseball mitt in his hand, and a ball, and he starts chasing the paper boy on his bike, and he says, "Hey, Chuck, where's my paper? Chuck, where's my paper? Where's my paper?" And he chases him. And that's all you see him at that point. Now, a little later in the film, there's a sequence, it's kind of a bit of a montage that takes us from fall to Christmas, where we see the town kind of at Christmas time, and the kids are looking through the window, at Newberry. And you can see the train going around the tracks. And then you see Santa, in front of Newberry's. You know, your typical sort of Goodwill or Salvation Army Santa. Remember that scene? Okay, and here's Santa, and he's striking his handheld bell, and he's saying, "Merry Christmas, ho ho ho, Merry Christmas, ho ho ho." All right, now let me tell you, that man was Roger. He played the "Hey Chuck, where's my paper?" boy guy, okay? And he also played Santa. And I met Roger on the first day of shooting Lady in White. That first day, we were shooting the town, some of those exterior scenes. And of course, it had to be a lovely, sunny, beautiful day. And it was pouring rain. It was miserable. Everybody was in parkas. It was not a good omen for the beginning of the shoot. So I met him on the first or second day, but it was one of those 2 days. So I'm setting up a shot. We're ready to roll, and I get this tap, from behind me, and I turn around, and here's this beautiful fella with a baseball cap, and he says, "Hi, I'm Roger." And I said, "Hi, I'm Frank." And he said, "You're making a movie?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I'm making a movie. Can I watch?" And I said, "Yeah, you can watch." He was, I'd say, maybe 30 years old, somewhere around there. But it was evident that he was slightly developmentally disabled, and that turned out to be very much the case. Mm-hmm. Well, he showed up that day, and we were setting up the scene of the paper boy on the bike, and I said, "Hey, Roger, come here." I said, "You want to be in the movie?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "I'd love to be in the movie." I said, "Okay, here's all you got to do." I said, "Somebody find me a baseball mitt. Somebody find me." And I said, "You chase the paper boy on his bike, and you say, 'Hey, Chuck, where's my paper? Where's my paper, Chuck?'" And he did it, and he did it beautifully. A few days later, we're shooting the establishment scene, outside of Newberry's, and somebody's got to play Santa, right? And I said, "Hey, Roger, you want to be in the movie again?" Because he was there every day. He came and ate lunch with the crew. He was everybody. He was the most wonderful human being. He came and ate lunch with the crew. He was there every day we were shooting, just with this big smile on his face. And he said, yeah. You can imagine being Santa. So I got the Santa Claus costume, and we put the Santa Claus costume on him, and I took him by the arm, and I said, "That's great." I said, "Now all you got to do is say, ho, 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 ring the bell, say, ho, ho, ho." And he said, and he practiced, he did it beautifully. Ho, 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 ho. So when you see Roger,
I'll keep a special eye out now.
The most endearing, beautiful memory I had of the film. And he became Roger. I found out that he was beloved by everybody in that town. Everybody absolutely loved him and adored him. And they took him in for dinners, and they took him in for the holidays. And he married at one point, and a few months back, it was only about 3-4 months ago, I posted on Facebook. I said, "Look, a clip of some of the behind the scenes that was shot on VHS of Roger donning his Santa Claus suit and me rehearsing him to play Santa and say his ho ho ho." And I said, I just want to say, Roger, wherever you are, thank you for being a part of my film, because you made me so happy, and I think about you often. And one of my Facebook friends who lives in the town, I asked her, I said, "Would you please try to find Roger for me, so I can get in touch with him? I'd love to send him something." And I found out that he passed away in 2014. It seems that he had heart problems that took him in for surgery, and he didn't make it. And that's when I found out that he'd been married for a number of years. His wife later got in touch with me, lovely, lovely woman. And I posted that little clip, as I said, of Roger donning his Santa Claus outfit and saying ho, 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 ho. And do you know that little video clip, the response was absolutely enormous. I checked it just the other day. Over 8,000 views. Over 8,000 views. And it was all about Roger, that post. And the people that wrote in, hundreds of people from the town, all with their personal stories about Roger. That was the most beautiful, most endearing memory of the production for me. He remains so.
That's so
And
nice.
tonight, they're screening the film at the Omen Theater, the same theater you see in the picture. They do it every year at Halloween. And they're screening it tonight, tomorrow, I think a matinee, and then in the evening, and on Sunday. So they're having 4 screenings.
Oh.
And I videotaped a little intro to the screening that I sent to the manager of the theater. My friend in Lyons, Whitney Ortiz, helped me out with this lovely gal. And they're running this little intro where I discuss, the shoot, my feelings about the town. But I wanted to make a point of asking everyone to consider the possibility of creating a wonderful memoriam for Roger. Maybe a lovely plaque with an etching of his beautiful profile with his baseball cap and his big, beautiful smile to put in City Hall, with a memoriam that states that he is among the most viewed Santas in all the world, because millions of people have seen this, and he's really an emissary for the town in a big way. The film has been seen by millions and millions of people. So I'm hoping we can make this campaign work. And get this memoriam.
Do you want to start an actual online campaign? We can help spread that.
It'd be lovely.
You get some signatures
on
it.
To see what the town has to say. I plan on following up on this. I really want to try and get it done. But the thing that was beautiful about this is how many people responded to this post with memories of him. Oh, we had him over for Christmas. We had him over for the 4th of July. We'd go to baseball games together. He was always there with a big smile. He was loving. He was giving toward everyone. Everybody loved him dearly. Over 8,000 views of that little video clip I put up, dedicated to Roger.
Thank God.
You can send me a private message. We're not Facebook friends, and we'll do that, and I'll point you to that post about Roger. But you can also see him in the behind the scenes on the film. I posted an extended behind the scenes on YouTube from the film, and you'll see him in that.
Oh, you have your own channel?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it under your name?
Yeah, I posted it on my channel. It's the same behind the scenes that I cut together for the Blu-ray release of Lady for the Shout release.
I wanted to also talk to you about your little short film that you did and shared with me. If you'd be interested in doing a live broadcast of that on the channel.
Which one is that?
The musical one that takes place in Italy.
Oh, the promo for Miro.
That was only a promo. I thought it was a short film because I loved it.
No, it was a promo. My hope was that I'd be able to hustle up some money independently and make the film. It's an original music. It's called Miro Miranda.
Ooh, sounds interesting, man.
I would love to do that.
Yeah,
I would love to. I would love to make the film. I would love to make the film, but I've gotten kind of laid back in my ways these days.
Yeah, living in Italy, I couldn't imagine that happening.
If somebody comes to me with the bucks, and is willing to leave me alone, let me do it. Fine, but
otherwise we're gonna hang out.
Hey, Francis, I'd like to give you some money.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go out. I'm too happy here. I love being here. I love being in Italy. I'm married. I've got a wonderful husband. I've got wonderful people like you guys. I love so many others, and so I feel. I mean, there was a time when really I was in rough shape because there was so much more I did want to do. I have to be honest. Very specifically, I'd written a screenplay that I was determined to get up and running after Lady, and I tried for years and years and years because I could never get it going because I wanted to do it independently. I didn't want to have any interference, and I just couldn't get the money together. So, but I'm happy. I'm very happy.
And I got to tell you,
Keith, I'm glad you asked that question because it gave me an opportunity to discuss Roger, my dear Roger.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, I hope they do put that plaque up. I really do.
We're gonna get
I think that, you know, if you get one of those campaigns going to get signatures, we will spread the word, all of us. And I want to point out that right now in our chat are two of my friends with popular shows. Tom from Midnight's Edge, which you heard about earlier, is watching our show. I invited him on the show, but he didn't get time to watch the film, so he bowed out.
X'd out of the group.
Yeah. And of course, Yeti
disappointed.
Very good friend of our channel. And thanks for showing up, guys. Really appreciate it. We have some other people that showed up. Let's see. Hold on. Wow, these guys are talking a lot. We got, well, you saw Nerdporeal Lifeform.
Good guy, too.
Pat S., who I've done work with and will be doing more work with in the future.
I love that
Means
picture.
of Destruction is hilarious. I love that guy.
What's Italy right now?
What's that?
Pardon me?
What's Italy like right now? Nice weather?
It's getting cold.
Does it ever get cold there?
Yeah, it's getting cold. Italy has the same climatic conditions this time of year as Southern California. I lived in LA for 28 years. So it's kind of like Southern California during the winter time.
Cool. I didn't know that. Feel like
Well, I want to thank you for being here, man. And I do need to do a small promotion for our channel because we began our membership.
Yeah, congratulations
so you
with
can
that.
actually join the. Oh wait, sadly it's out of print, or no. You can still find Shout Factory's version. It came out in 2015. I got a copy of it.
I got
but
this
the
from
fact
Amazon.
is, Tom, because you're close friends with me, I'll always share with you, buddy. I think that a good movie should be like an STD and spread. But
just in a good way.
I want to share this screen real quick to show you what is going on, and then we'll come back to conversation before we do our wrap up. This is our join page, and you can actually join the membership. If you get the two of them, one, you get an signed art print from me. Any one of my art prints, just get with me privately, and you can go through all my different paintings and illustrations, and I will have it printed and sign it for you. Or if you do the top tier one, you can actually commission me. You've got to do the full year. I expect you to do the full year, and you can commission me to do some artwork for you. And I will do a painting or illustration, portrait. I don't give a shit. I'll fucking draw anything.
Wow, you're nicer than
I'll
me.
draw a monkey eating its own poop. And
you can also commission him. You can also commission him on Grindr. I saw you there.
No heads. Test only.
The way that pose was like.
And here's our new video. Enjoy the new promo.
Autumn, I love you. I love you, Autumn. I love you.
Here you go.
My I love that clip of those two little guys.
I know, me too.
That is so Keith and me because we love each other so much.
So
I was like, that's us as babies.
They're so beautiful. They're so beautiful. And then afterwards, they both run away, facing each other, down the street. The camera turns, pans, and they run away. It's lovely.
I love that video. I mean, I like all cute baby videos.
That's what life's about.
Yeah, and this show is a celebration. You know, I'm a snarky prick, and everybody knows that. But you know, and I can say some condemnative fucking things. But
I'm
the
just a
fact
cute
is,
little
I
guy.
love cinema. Keith and I have that in common. We love movies. We love good movies. We love really good entertainment and good TV. And that's really what this show's about: is promoting stuff that introduce you to stuff that doesn't have anybody's personal politics in it. Just entertainment that tells you a story and makes you feel good at the end.
Yeah.
And that's our favorite kind of storytelling. That's the kind of stuff you did, Frank. And I want to thank you because I was still young. I was in my early 20s when I saw that movie. And I love that film so much. I felt like a kid still in my 20s because I was a drummer in a punk band, the Smelly Pubes. Yeah. I wrote a song. My first punk song was "There's a dead mouse in my room and it smells like shit." Yeah, true story too.
Wow. Call the mountain goats. I think we found something.
But the 80s were just because you and I were talking about that before, Autumn. The 80s was the best decade for horror and
fantasy.
Science fiction and fantasy. Some of the best films that I've seen in my lifetime, accumulatively,
the
were in the
synth
80s.
soundtrack to Lady Hawk.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Well,
my
say
favorite.
hello to the introduction
Gerry
of the rock
Goldsmith,
soundtrack. You know,
Sorry, what was that?
The 80s gave us the birth of the rock soundtrack. Dune, Lady
Toto.
Hawk, yeah, Toto.
Yeah. I love Toto.
And of course, I want to point out who composed the music for your film, Frank.
Hold on.
Yeah, I've said before that you were kind of a John Carpenter yourself. You wrote, directed, produced.
Oh, please. That guy doesn't know how to compose a fucking melody.
He does rock music. That's
all
he does.
All he does is soundscapes, you know, and then he's got all these other guys to fill in the rest. That guy's no composer. Give me a fucking break.
John Carpenter, if you see this, I didn't say anything.
Well, he's a good rock musician. I like his music. That's all he does. It's like
that's a motif. That's a soundscape. That's not music. I'm sorry.
You know, because a lot of people believe that Ennio Morricone did the soundtrack for The Thing, and I said he did one theme.
No,
Morricone
was
one theme.
Everything else was John Carpenter because Carpenter kept changing.
Wow.
Carpenter's a hack. Sorry, John.
Oh, this rules.
I don't like your stuff.
That's the greatest afternoon I've ever
We
had.
finally got edgy. The whole show, and we finally get edgy at the end.
What a hack.
The hater energy.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, for me, it was Blues Brothers. I mean, that's still a quintessential 80s movie for me. I whenever that's on, I have to watch.
I don't think I've ever heard of it.
Well, it's about these two. Wow.
Yeah. I'm going to create a new show for our channel called Black Man Explains.
Is it about like getting you to moisturize?
It's him explaining white movies. Movies with a lot of white people. It'd just be funny as fuck.
Did you hear what Autumn just said? Did you miss Autumn? Say it again, will you?
Is it going to be about teaching people to moisturize?
That's how they do it. I mean, look at their skin. They never age.
You know, man, black don't crack.
Never age. They always look at him. He looks like he's what? 60.
If you're light skinned, you're not going to look ashy, but you're going to feel ashy. So you better.
I mean, look at him. He looks like he's 60.
No, I'm older than him.
40.
I'm actually older than him by 4 years, I think, 3 or 4 years. And yeah, he's a good-looking dude right there.
Well, I mean, you know,
forget it, ladies. He's taken.
Yeah, I am. I found some woman to say I do.
Wow,
who would have thought?
And she does every day.
Love.
But
I know what she's thinking. Yeah, I do his wash. I do his dinner. I do everything he needs done. I do. That's what she said. That's what she said.
Well, she said she married me for my potential. $1 million.
I didn't think I didn't mean that when I said I do, but I done.
Gotta. This way, don't do laundry and nothing.
But then she looks at him every morning, she says, "Look at that man, he's so beautiful." I've done it again.
That shea butter shine.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That caramel chocolate hue, just gorgeous.
Oh my goodness.
We love you, Keith. We love you.
All right.
Keith knows I love him.
We're gonna wrap this up now. Is that what?
We're gonna do a wrap up here.
No.
Yeah, once I start insulting, it's the end of the show.
Oh, but I'm gonna miss you guys so much.
We're gonna miss you too.
Man, I really miss you.
He's being sarcastic.
Well, I'm not. I want you to know I've had a great time, and I'll never do this again. Never.
Yeah, fair.
You watch. I'll convince you to come back on to do something with one of your other things. I still do want to do a proper retrospective, like the Zoom thing you did, and get you guys.
It only
together.
worked because of my youthful charm and zeal.
If Autumn's back, only if Autumn's back. If she's back, then
I want to get her some pussycat ears to put on top of her scarf.
I have a Frankenstein headband with little Frankenstein.
Oh, see, I would like that one. Ears. That would be awesome.
I bought it to wear to class.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Ask yourself which of these panelists can dance in clogs. The answer may surprise you.
Not this guy. Not this guy.
Thanks, Kyle. That's our second unit AD.
I'm glad these people could only text and not join in. That's all.
I really wanted to limit it to people who had
Wow, I'm joking. Of course, I'm joking. I was joking.
Well, I'm so grateful that you came on because, and that you picked our show to be the one that you actually came on. I just deeply appreciate it, and I'm so grateful to have you in my life, man. Thank you.
Same here. Wow. Same here. It's Mutual Admiration Society now. I've had a wonderful time. Thank you for inviting me, and maybe we'll do this again sometime. Who knows? If the check doesn't bounce, there you go.
I want to plan it out. And Tom, who's in the chat, I want him to work with me because he's worked on retrospectives before and gotten cast and crew together. I really want to do something that is proper and respectful to your film, that isn't just an interview show, but actual sitting down and talking to everybody, getting some stories from each person. I think it'd be wonderful, especially while we still have some of the cast alive. Because we're getting older. We're getting older.
I'm kidding.
And God bless you for coming on, man. I thank you so much. I deeply appreciate it.
I love your movie, man. I love it.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, you finished it.
I'm out of a few words, but it was a pleasure getting to know you and watch by the end of my movie for the very first time. That was an experience.
That's cool, hey?
Holy shit!
I love it.
The fire part.
Now, I don't know if you've ever watched this film, Frank. Top Secret with Val Kilmer.
No, I've never seen it.
It is absolutely one of my favorite films of all time. It is so stupid and intelligent at the same time, and I love it. It's a parody of all sorts of action films from the 40s, 50s, and even the 60s.
Oh, I guess I've heard about that.
And it's just Val Kilmer. I became a fan because of that movie. And you bet. Actually, Pat would probably end up working with us on this because Pat's a good producer. He's the one that put together the Band of Brothers show. And of course, our executive producer, Mexican Iron Man, aka Mike, is also going to be involved. So I guarantee you, it's going to be a really good one when we put the retrospective together. And I look forward to talking to you about it. With that, we end our show with I love you guys. I love the chat. And thank you for being on here, Frank and Autumn. I expect you to be a regular on our show.
Yeah.
And here is our outro.
Goodbye, Chocolate Mousse. I'll never forget you. Goodbye, Ducroix. Take care of yourself. Goodbye, Déjà Vu. I'll always remember you. And I'll miss you most of all, Scarecrow.